Hey guys, and welcome to the video. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Sarah and I'm so happy to have you. Yes, I will just start off this video by saying there is in fact a small bandage on my nose. Don't worry about me.
I'm fine.
I did cover up most of the bruising with makeup, so you guys don't have to worry about that, but I am in good health. I will heal. Don't you worry about me. But I did not have a video like pre-filmed for this week, and seeing as this happened like a few days ago, I was like, well, I don't really not want to post a video this week, so we might as well just post it looking like this. It's really not that dramatic, I think. Like, no need to freak out. It's just a little bandage. But this may or may not be, probably will be in my next video as well, because it might take a little while to heal, but all is well. Everything is good. Yes. For today's video, I'm super excited because I'm going to be talking about stuff that I don't want. I figured because there is a lot of sales going on right now, I think that Ulta is having like something like 20 days of beauty. I don't know, we don't have an Ulta where I live, and then I know Sephora is having their spring sale, which kind of lasts for like about 3 separate weekends, so it's kind of over a longer span of time. And I did just recently post a video talking about all the things that I really want to buy from Sephora during the VIB sale. So I figured for today's video I would just talk to you guys about all the things that are new in beauty that I do not plan on buying. So I have a list of about 10 or maybe 11 things that I kind of found when I was scrolling through new arrivals at Sephora, as well as the Trend Mood Instagram page. I definitely tend to scroll through the Trend Mood Instagram page quite frequently. They post like about 20 posts every single day. It's kind of insane, but they're always talking about what's new in makeup, skincare, things like that. Anything new product-wise in the beauty community, they are on it. They know like everything. I don't know how they know, but they always have all of the new product releases like way in advance before they even come out. So today I am going to be talking to you guys about a bunch of stuff that has either not come out quite yet that I don't plan on buying when it does come out, or things that are already in stores that I still don't plan on buying now that it's out. So the first thing that's on my list is actually already out in stores, and that is from Too Faced. It is the Natural Eyes eyeshadow palette. So they have previously released this. I believe this used to be in kind of their tin form shadow palettes, and then they put out a new version of it in much nicer packaging, but still I do believe it's the same product. Maybe they upped the formula, I'm not 100% sure, but regardless, shade wise they do all tend to be pretty cool toned, which I'm not totally upset about, but I'm not really a cool toned kind of person to begin with. I know my look isn't super warm toned today, but kind of these purpley gray shades aren't super my thing all the time, and it seems like all the shades that are in the palette are so similar that I imagine you would only really be able to get like maybe 2 different looks that were very kind of different from one another. Otherwise, I do think that all the shades would kind of just blend in together and not really look like a whole heck of a lot. Although for the people that are interested in this and have had the Natural Eyes palette in the past, I do hope for you guys that the formula is better, because I have seen some pretty not so nice reviews about that palette, just quality wise. But for me, myself, I'm definitely not interested. Next up, we will talk about something again that I think this was just released a couple of days ago, at least when I'm looking at it now, and that is from Becca. It's one of their Shimmering Skin Perfector highlighters in the shade Dreamsicle. This looks really cute, to be quite honest. Unfortunately, I just don't think it's gonna work on my skin tone. I do have a feeling that this is targeted towards deeper skin tones and definitely not targeted towards people with my skin tone, but I did notice that they did have kind of like arm swatches on a light, medium, and deep skin tone. Obviously, that's just for inclusivity to kind of show what it's gonna look like on everybody, but definitely on the light skin tone, it is way too dark. So I have a feeling that they are definitely going towards the deeper skin tones, which I am 100% excited about. I'm all for.
It's actually, I'm not even mad. That's amazing.
I know that there's so many brands and so many products that aren't kind of inclusive of all skin tones, and so that's really amazing that they're actually doing that. And it's a gorgeous shade. I think it's going to look amazing on people deeper than myself, but unfortunately I will not be picking it up. So next up, talking about something that is not quite released yet. It is from Kat Von D. It's going to be her 10-year anniversary eyeshadow palette. I do believe this collection comes out on May 5th, and it should come with some other lipsticks and bits and bobs as well, but honestly, it's just not really my jam. Of course, because it is a Kat Von D release, the actual packaging of it is very, very beautiful. It is definitely like a straight up rainbow palette, and while I think that is an amazing idea and it definitely fits Kat Von D's style, I'm not really a person that wears that much crazy colors on my eyes, and it seems to be honestly that even though it is a rainbow palette, maybe just given the kind of photo, because it's not released yet, it's kind of like a sneaky photo, but the shades don't seem to be quite so vibrant. Although there definitely does seem to be a good range between mattes and shimmer shades, it's just not going to be something that I plan on picking up. So for myself, I do have the Smashbox Covershot Shadow Palette in Bold, and that has just enough shades in kind of a very large range, like every color of the rainbow kind of thing, that I need personally to create a look if I wanted to do something a little bit more fun. Although for the Kat Von D palette, unfortunately, it is just not something that I plan on picking up because I really just don't think I would get much use out of it, and they just don't look vibrant enough. So next up is something that is not actually a makeup item, but it is a makeup tool. So Tarte recently released their kind of mermaid collection, and within that they did release a brush set. So this is the Minutes to Mermaid brush set, Be a Mermaid and Make Waves collection. In general, the mermaid theme has not always been necessarily my thing, and I know that right now it seems because summer is coming, mermaids are trending, every single brand, I swear, is coming out with some sort of under the sea collection. I know just recently the summer collection from David's Tea is literally their mermaid collection. Like everything is mermaids and turtles and holographic, and it's just super trending right now. Oddly enough, I have always been a person who doesn't really like my makeup brushes to be so dramatic looking, and I find when they tend to kind of make the brush handles a little bit or a lot of bit extra, they're kind of a little bit harder to store. So the actual handles on these brushes are legit mermaid tails, so they kind of flare out into the fins on either side, which I'm just wondering like how you plan on storing that. Not my problem. While the brushes are definitely a nice piece to look at, I don't find them that practical, and they come with like kind of a random collection of brushes, to be honest. They have 3 face brushes and 2 eye brushes, so you basically get like a powder, blush, and maybe also foundation brush, as well as a basic flat shader brush, and then like a pencil brush. It just seems to be a very weird collection to me. I would rather see them do like 2 separate collections or 1 large collection, all face brushes, all eye brushes, or those 2 combined. But just in general, because of kind of the style of the way the brushes are made, the handle, I just don't really find them to be super interesting. Let's talk about something drugstore, because I definitely love anything and everything from the drugstore. NYX is going to be releasing what looks like 3 separate eyeshadow palettes within kind of a collection, but correct me if I'm wrong, it seems that it is called the Machinist collection. I could be 100% wrong on that. So the 3 palettes seem to be titled Machinist, Grind, and Ignite. This seems to be kind of a steampunk styled theme. On the trend mood page, the only thing that they have kind of where you can see the inside and where you can actually see swatches is the Ignite palette, and just from seeing this one, this is the reason why I say that I'm not super interested. And it seems to be a very like gray toned, cool toned palette, and that's just not my vibe. NYX definitely does seem to be always having like a very intense theme about things whenever they put out eyeshadow palettes, and I think that's an amazing idea. Of course, you need to come up with some sort of creative idea to get people interested. Unfortunately for myself, with the whole steampunk thing, I never really ended up getting into that at all. I do hope to see kind of the inside of the other 2 palettes. Maybe those 2 would be a little bit more interesting. As for the Ignite version, that one is definitely on my list of not to buy. I will quickly apologize. My significant other has gotten in the shower, so there might be some shower sounds in the background. Moving along to something that has been talked about probably way too much, in the beauty community, but I'm gonna keep talking about it because it's another thing that I don't plan on picking up, and that is the Amrezy and Anastasia Beverly Hills highlighter. When this originally came out, I was super intrigued. I wanted to pick it up immediately, but then after kind of seeing it swatched on skin tones very similar to mine, I quickly realized it is just slightly too dark for my skin tone, which is very unfortunate. It seems to be that when it is kind of put on the high points of the cheeks, for example, it's gorgeous when the light directly hits it on pale skin tones, but the second you turn your face kind of straight the way that you would be looking at me if you were talking to me, it would just look like two kind of like dark gold strips going down the sides of your face, which is not really the look that I'm going for personally when I'm putting on a highlighter. So although it is wildly loved by everyone and anyone, unfortunately it is not for the palest of the pale, and I will not be picking it up at all, unfortunately. So next up I have two eyeshadow palettes from BH Cosmetics, and although I am just absolutely in love with the brand, I love everything that they do for the most part. So the first one being from their festival collection, and it is the Weekend Festival eyeshadow palette. This, when I initially looked at it, I thought that I would be interested in it, but after looking at the swatches, unfortunately I just think that too many of the shades are shimmery or glittery, and I do typically like to have a good amount of mattes in a eyeshadow palette. Although in kind of a contrast to the Kat Von D palette, the actual shades in this one do seem to be a lot more vibrant and sort of neon than the ones in her 10-year anniversary palette, which is something that I would probably gear more towards if I was going to go for something that had a lot of color to it. But unfortunately, because of the fact that a lot of them seem to be very shimmery, and I'm just not necessarily someone who's going to go for those bright, vibrant neon shades, it's not going to be on my list of things that I want to buy.
It's like it doesn't have enough.
So the second palette being released, and is actually released officially from BH Cosmetics, is the Marvycorn and BH Cosmetics palette. This seems to be a collab with Marvyn Macnificent, I think. So although I don't know who he is, I did just quickly look at his Instagram page to get a kind of general idea. He definitely does seem to have some very amazing makeup. He seems to be very talented, so that's amazing that he did a collaboration with BH Cosmetics. But the palette itself, honestly, it's just giving me kind of like Too Faced Chocolate Bonbons vibes, if you guys know what I mean. There's a lot of similar shades, it seems. And it is a eyeshadow and highlighter palette. So you get a total of 10 eyeshadows and then 3 separate highlighters. I do like the fact that they have 3 highlighters for 3 different skin tones in here. That's really amazing. But as for the shadows, they are giving me, like I said, the chocolate bonbon kind of vibe. They're very similar. And I guess for me, if I was going to be getting a palette with these kind of shades, I would probably just immediately go for the actual Too Faced palette, just because I have heard very good things about it and I don't own it myself. Whereas this has less shades and it does include highlighters that wouldn't work for my skin tone, so it just wouldn't necessarily be something that I would be able to get a whole 100% use out of it. I could probably obviously use the darker shades for eyeshadow, but unfortunately it's just not really calling my name, I guess you could say. It has some pretty basic shades in there, such as some neutrals, some matte neutrals, shimmering neutrals, and then there's like a pink, a blue, and a dark purple. So I know there's a lot of people out there that would be super interested in this, but unfortunately it's just not really for me. So next up, and also last up, is something from Urban Decay. It is another eyeshadow palette. I feel like I talked about a lot of eyeshadow palettes, but that seems to be a lot of what is being newly released, so I guess that's kind of the only thing I can talk about new in beauty. But this is an eyeshadow palette from Urban Decay. It is called the Lightbeam palette. There is a total of only 5 shades, so it's a pretty small palette. And it is not yet released, and it doesn't seem that Trend Mood also has a date for it either, so could come out at any time. I imagine that since they do already have photographs of the inside of the palette, it means it's coming out pretty soon anyways, usually within like a month or two. Once they have the actual photos of the palette itself on the inside, that means it's coming out soon. When looking at the 5 shades kind of all together, it does seem to be very kind of basic, very neutral, aside from there being this one shade that is just like this kind of, I don't know, duochrome, glittery blue, purple, gray kind of shade. Very interesting, very beautiful on its own. Not something that I personally think that I would kind of lean towards putting on my eyes. So while overall it does seem to look pretty kind of basic and neutral, I don't actually think that you would end up being able to get one look out of just using this palette, because looking closely at it, it seems like 4 out of the 5 shades, and maybe possibly all 5 shades, are metallic shades. So you would have to buy this in conjunction with kind of using another palette. So if you were picking this up, I think it would be just to be able to add sort of a pop of shimmer or something like that to your look, whether it be something all over the lid or on the inner corner of the lid, wherever you really decide. Not that there's any actual rules to makeup, but I find most people don't tend to put shimmery shades in their crease. It just doesn't tend to kind of do the effect that we usually want it to, which is to kind of add depth, whereas the shimmer is going to bring it out. So I don't know how I feel about this palette. In general, the shades are okay, but just the fact that they're kind of pretty basic but also pretty shimmery, it just doesn't seem like something that would work very well for me anyways. Part of me honestly is kind of happy to be finished talking about all of this, just because it seems like there's so many negative vibes happening right now. I definitely don't like to bring negativity to my channel whatsoever, and this video is definitely not meant to be a negative styled video, but with that I probably won't be filming such a negative video anytime in the near future. But I do think that it was a good idea talking about things that are new in the beauty community. But maybe after watching this video, there's definitely some items in here that now you actually do want to go ahead and pick up in stores, because obviously we all have different tastes, and I think that's cool. But definitely leave comments down below if there's anything that I mentioned that you guys actually do want to pick up, and let me know why. I definitely want to get to know you guys better, and I love talking to you guys in the comments section no matter what you guys tell me. So that kind of closes off this video. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. You can definitely go ahead and subscribe if you want. I do post at least 1 video a week. At the moment I am aiming for 2, and so far so good. It's usually around Tuesdays and Saturdays for you guys who are kind of interested in my scheduling, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!